Okay, so I want to introduce Wilson and me. We are a real estate team. We work for Compass. Um, what we want to do is we want to tell you a little bit about how we get deals and how we're able to close them. That way you can understand the process, because I think the process itself is interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Wilson a few questions. First, Wilson, give me the address of the first deal you want to talk about.
Sure, this is a single family house in Flatbush, 2155 Beverly Road, fully detached, about 1,800 square feet in total, 2 stories.
Wilson, how did you get the listing?
So actually, a property manager that I've been working with for the past 7, 8 years. She was a real estate agent at once, and now she's fully into property management. So luckily, she trusts me as her real estate agent to give me that listing.
Nice. That's awesome. For a single family house, what kind of marketing were you able to do to attract buyers?
So pretty standard, professional photography, floor plans, and a video. This was in the beginning of COVID, so videos and 3D tours were very imperative at the time. So you got a nice video, good photography, and we priced it very aggressively due to the timing.
Cool. Was it easy to work with the sellers as far as pricing it aggressively?
Yeah, initially I had priced it a little higher. This was prior to me seeing the property. After I sold the property, there was some deferred maintenance that I knew buyers would account for when they're looking.
How long were they in the house?
Wow. This is 2 generations. So the son inherited the property from his parents, which
That's
moved
a,
down
that's a lot
south.
of
So
deferred maintenance then.
yeah, it's
What was the worst of the deferred maintenance?
they found some asbestos in the attic. I think that was the most concerning, especially when we brought the first buyer. He actually ended up backing out when he found out about that.
Was that after the inspection? The inspector found
Yeah,
the asbestos?
right. That was after the inspection. But that kind of gave us leverage with the following prospective buyer. We kind of was transparent and let them know what were the main concerns from the previous buyer
Right.
so that there's no.
You preemptively told them that there was asbestos upstairs and um,
Right. I mean, I think that was the biggest concern. Everything else was cosmetic. I mean, it was beautiful, a lot of original detail, a lot of character, tin ceilings, original fireplaces. So I'd love to see what the buyers did with it, about a year down the line, because I think it's got a lot of potential.
what were some other selling points about it? Did it have backyard space or
It
any?
did have backyard space. It had a semi-finished basement. Backyard space was big, very close to Prospect Park, close proximity to Flatbush Avenue,
Nice.
subways, and it had a semi-finished basement, as mentioned. And it was just a good size. Hard to find a single family at that price point.
Yeah, totally. What were some of the hurdles as far as, I mean, especially since you were showing pretty much right in the peak of COVID?
Yeah, I
The
mean,
hurdles?
COVID itself was a hurdle. The
Yeah.
family, my clients, the sellers, they were very, as most people are, very afraid of COVID. She had some family members that did pass from it. So we would, masked up, gloves, booties, everything, one party at a time. And that was one of the main hurdles. Another one was they were moving out of state. They had a timeline to beat. They wanted to be closed in a month. So that's almost unrealistic at most times.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we were able to do it, to get it done. They were moving to Georgia. Their kids were starting school the end of August. So we were on a tight timeline. But luckily, we were able to bring a buyer to get it done. And we had a great mortgage guy, which is one of my best friends, Chris Figueroa at Embrace Bank. And he got it done from start to finish, 30 days. So that was perfect.
That's awesome. That speed is really important in that situation. Two things to unpack from that. So one is how did you find the buyer? Like where did the buyer come from? And then also what was the seller's attitude like as things were kind of moving along?
Yeah, good question. So funny enough, the first buyer that backed out was through Tripleman, Shelley Place, great agent. And she actually brought the second buyer, which ended up closing. So she was very active and she saw the value in the property. So she continued to push clients to go see it. And lucky enough, the second buyer that she brought was the perfect fit.
I heard
Um,
the agent who showed them the place was really awesome as well.
yeah, he was great. Yeah, Ralph did an amazing job hosting open houses. So he got to come with a
I got to
full
wear a lot
hazmat
of
suit.
booties as well. I put on a lot of pairs of booties from that
Yeah,
house.
you had a whole hazmat suit on.
Pretty much. Yeah, I think as far as COVID protocol, that was probably one of the safest houses we were going into. But
Yeah.
sellers in healthcare, I can't remember. Like she had some kind of
Yeah, she was in healthcare sales, I believe.
right
So she was very particular, and
ridiculous.
she um, she kind of became a hurdle herself throughout the process. She had the particular timeline that she was looking for, but
Yeah, that timeline was kind of unrealistic. Like
it was, it
maybe
was.
explain how like why that was so hard to do.
Especially in this market. I mean, I think the beginning of COVID was a little more active than it is now, and we didn't see much of a price drop just yet. I think as we've gone through the months, we've started to see places sit a little longer, less inventory, and so in the beginning, we were still lucky enough to, as I mentioned, we priced aggressively, and usually banks take much longer. Luckily,
That was
there was no issues, no no permit issues or any violations that needed to be cleared up. Everything was free and clear, so that was part of the reason we were able to go so quickly. I think that's it. I think from start to finish, in regards to days on market, was less than 30 days, about mid 20s, about 25 to 20.
that's amazing. Seriously, like
Yeah.
during COVID, that's a major success.
Yeah, and we showed it a lot. I mean, as mentioned, we priced aggressively and the marketing
Actually, that's my
along.
question. How did you convince them to price aggressively? Because I think, like, since I met them a few times, I actually think that was not as easy to do as it sounds.
Well, luckily, one, they owned the house outright. There was no debt on the house. There was no mortgage.
Mm,
Two, I just explained to them the deferred maintenance. And as any buyer will come in, they're going to point these things out and subtract it from the asking price. If we were to list above 800, we ended up listing at 750. So we kind of accounted for that in the price. That's why we were able to drive
what did you close at?
735.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, just from my perspective, like showing it and watching people react to it, I think the fact that it was kind of preemptively like going, hey, there's some problems here, but your boiler is really good, your kitchen is just redone, you've got the outdoor space. I think that kind of preemptive kind of honesty, I think that had a lot to do with it being priced basically correctly. So that's why the close price wasn't that different than the ask.
Right, right.
Um, and then closing went smoothly. I think having another good agent on the other side was also helpful.
Yeah, she definitely was. She pushed her clients along quickly. They were, pretty much your ideal clients. They
Totally.
didn't ask too much questions. They took care of what they needed to take care of. This wasn't their first rodeo. They owned some more property, I believe, upstate.
Mm.
So they were familiar with the process. So it was more or less just telling them what we needed in regards to the bank, setting up inspections and appraisals, and from there everything went really smoothly.
Awesome. And then the appraisal came in at the right price.
Yes, I believe it came in asking, so a little bit
That's a little
higher.
higher then.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So then they feel like they got a good deal. Meanwhile, the sellers happy.
Yeah,
Where did the sellers move to? I remember they moved
they
somewhere.
moved to Georgia.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they're happy.
got a lot more bang for your buck down there.
A lot more. Yeah. I think they got a much bigger place. All right. Cool. That's a cool story.